Hey guys, welcome back to another Division video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at a build that I made focusing on the talent companion. We're using two companion talent, one on the backpack and one on the chest piece. The chest piece has the perfect version that we got on the last update. This is from Henri. This is an electric brand and it increases our damage by 20% if we are near an ally or a skill. The other one is just a regular companion and increases our damage by 15%. And the idea that I had was using Capacitor as a weapon damage dealer because Capacitor has the talent Capacitance, and here at the bottom it says for each skill tier we gain a 7.5 weapon damage. So it does work. We are dealing a lot of damage if we have lots of skill tier. Right now we are skill tier 6. We have 4 pieces of yellow here, but 2 pieces of it is Brazos the Arcabus, so that's like another one. And then the last skill tier comes from the specialization, which is Technician. So all the red pieces of stats here are all critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Right now my critical hit chance is 55%. And I decided to just put one of the mods into critical hit damage. Okay, so that is the concept for the build. We are skill tier 6 and most of our stats here are for weapon damage. And it kind of works because we're using Capacitor because of the talent. Capacitor does inflict more damage if you are skill tier 6, and it works pretty well. Also, we have Companion here that will help increase our damage, and we have 2 deployable skills that are compatible with Companion. One is the Artificer Hive. This increases the damage and duration of your skills, and it also auto casts. You don't have to drop this down, but I suggest drop it down for just for more added action. It is more fun for me if I'm pressing buttons. And right now I have the turret here. This is the assault turret, but you could also change this into the flamethrower version of the turret. This one, the incinerator turret, because the chest piece Henri is an electric brand, and brand set bonus for electric brand is status effects, so that kind of lines up with the flamethrower. It will inflict some status effects. Okay, so before we go to the individual pieces of the items here in this build, I just want to point out that this is not really the ideal or perfect setup. Right now I am kind of forced to use this one. This is Walker and Harris. It gives us plus 5 weapon damage as its brand set bonus, but ideally I wanted to have Fenris, the item that gives you 10% assault rifle damage, because the main weapon for this build is an assault rifle. So okay, so now here we are at the shooting range, and I will demonstrate to you guys the damage of Companion. This is like single Companion only. Right now, if you take a look, we have Wicked on our backpack, not the other Companion. Okay, so this is skill tier 6, and we're using Capacitor, right? So let me show you the damage of a single Companion talent. So let me shoot this enemy here. We are dealing 351 on our Capacitor. Now I will drop the Artificer. The Artificer doesn't really do anything for me. It buffs my skill. But if I shoot this enemy, the damage is now 422. Alright? That is with only one Companion skill here in the chest piece. Okay, so now I rerolled the backpack talent into Companion. As you can see here, we have Companion in our backpack. The weapon damage increases 15%. And for the chest piece, we have the perfect Companion, which increases our damage by 20%. And we're pretty much using the same gear. I'm gonna drop the Artificer here. That will trigger Companion, and that will increase our damage. And right now, the damage is 500,000. Okay, so now that is out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the individual pieces of items for this build. Starting off with the weapons, we have the Capacitor for our main weapon for the build. The secondary weapon doesn't really matter, but try to have this gun. This is pretty common. Just farm Countdown or Summit and set your target loot into assault rifle, and hopefully you get it. And the stats that we have here is assault rifle damage, damage to armor, and health damage. Now you can't really change the mods here, but the talent for this exotic assault rifle is Capacitance. Now for the secondary weapon, it's not really that important. As long as you can increase the damage of your skills and weapon damage, that's fine. Right now I have Harmony. This is I think a Dark Zone exclusive item. And I got it from a name cache. The stats that I have here is rifle damage, critical hit damage, and damage out of cover. And the talent is perfectly in sync. Hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds, and using a non-shielded skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants you 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. Okay, so now that we are done with the weapons, let's take a look at the armor pieces, starting off with the mask. For the mask, I have the Brazos de Arcabuz. I rerolled the core attribute into skill tier. This is by default armor. The Brazos de Arcabuz brand set bonus is 10% skill haste and +1 skill tier. And since we're wearing 2 pieces, one is Picaro's holster, you activate that second piece bonus. And the stats that I have here is critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and critical hit damage. For the chest piece, we are using the named item. This is Henri. A brand set is Electrique. The brand set bonus is 10% status effects. Again, use your flamethrower. That will take advantage of this 10% status effects bonus. The core attribute for this piece of gear is skill tier, so no need to reroll that. Just try to get critical hit chance and critical hit damage and a critical hit damage mod for your attributes. And the talent for this piece of gear is Perfect Companion. While you are within 10 meters of an ally or skill, total weapon damage is increased by 20%. Okay, so now let's go to the holster. This is a named version of the holster, Brazos de Arcabuz. This is Picaro's holster. As I said earlier, it activates the second piece bonus, which is +1 skill tier. We roll the core attribute of armor into skill tier. And then the unique thing about this is it has weapon damage in its secondary attribute. So just worry about getting critical hit damage. Okay, so for the backpack, I'm using the Grupo Sombra. This gives us the brand set bonus of 15% critical hit damage, which is really nice. The core attribute for this piece of gear is weapon damage, so no need to reroll that. And just worry about getting critical hit chance and critical hit damage and put a critical hit damage mod. Now for the talent for this piece of gear, I have Companion. You stack 2 companions, one in the backpack, one in the chest piece. This one is the regular version. It only increases our damage by 15% instead of 20%. Okay, so for the gloves, I'm using the Sescavairoba. This gives us the brand set bonus of 10% critical hit chance, which is really nice. And the core attribute for this piece of gear is weapon damage, so reroll that into skill tier. And then just worry about getting a piece that has critical hit damage and critical hit chance. Okay, so for the knee pads, I'm using a Walker Harris. This gives us the brand set bonus of +5% weapon damage. But ideally, I wanted to have Fenris for this slot. That will give us 10% assault rifle damage. And like I said, the main weapon for this build is the Capacitor. So ideally, you want something like a Fenris, which gives you 10% bonus damage if you're using assault rifle. But the stats that you want for this one is weapon damage, and just try to get critical hit damage and critical hit chance. Now for the skills, I'm using the turret and Hive. Now you can change the version of the turret into incinerator turret if you want to take advantage of the 10% status effect bonus that we get from the chest piece. But ideally, I just want to drop down a skill and not worry about it too much. So I'm using the assault turret. Now the mods that I have here is 10% health, 5% damage, and 7.5 skill haste. Now for the Artificer drone, this boosts our damage of our skills, also refreshes the duration. And the mods that I have here is stim efficiency, +4 stim charges, and 10% duration. Okay, so for the specialization, I'm using Technician, mainly just for this one passive talent here, which is Amped. This gives us +1 skill tier. Also, make sure to take advantage of this one. This increases our assault rifle damage by 15%. Now, before we go to the shooting range, let's take a quick look at the stats. Right now, this is a weapon build as well as a skill damage build. I have 55% critical hit chance. You could increase that and change one of the mods into critical hit chance instead of critical hit damage. For the critical hit damage, we have 190 critical hit damage. And for the skills, skill tier 6, turret, skill haste 20%, 90-second cooldown, 200-second duration, and 5,600,000 health. 71,000 damage. For the Artificer Hive, we have skill tier 6, 20% skill haste, 2.3 refill speed, 32 charges, 12 range, 213 duration, and 4 minion health. And the buff amount is 70%. The buff duration is pretty long, it's 10 seconds. Okay, so now here we are at the shooting range. The build is pretty simple to play. Not a lot of complicated playstyle. We just drop our skills in the ground, and that will trigger companion, and that will increase our damage, and we just shoot enemies. But let me show you here. Let me drop the Artificer. It doesn't really do anything. It buffs our skill. Right now I don't really have my turret out, but I will shoot this enemy. And you can see here on the left side there is a number that increases the skill damage of our skill. Right now it is 40, and it decays if you're not shooting or hitting enemies. Right now it's 39 and 38, 37. That is the buff or the talent that we get from Capacitor. Okay, so now we're just going to be demonstrating the damage increase that we get from the Artificer Hive. It will buff our turret. Right now I changed my skill. Right now the skill that I have here is the Chem Launcher, because the Artificer Hive automatically activates even if you don't drop it on the ground. So I will drop the turret like so, and we're going to be seeing the damage. Right now the damage is 71,671. All right. Right now I don't have any stacks on my Capacitor, and the damage is 71,000. Okay, so here we are again. Now we have the Artificer. Again, you don't really have to drop this on the ground. It will automatically activate, but I just want to show it that you could drop that item there. And I'm going to drop the turret, and you can see the Hive shot a booster to the turret, and I will ask the turret to hit this enemy here, and you can see the damage increase. Now the damage increase is 93,000. Earlier it was around 70,000. So that is the damage increase that Artificer gives our skills. Anyways guys, that is the build. You don't really have to drop the Artificer on the ground in order to get its buff, but if you want the companion buff, just drop it on the ground. Also drop your turret. If you don't like using the turret, you use the drone. Again, you could use the incinerator version of the turret. That also works because we have that 10% bonus on the streak. And I think it's a really fun build. We are dealing lots of damage with our main weapon. 500,000 is pretty high for me, especially if you have skill tier 6. That's pretty impressive for me, but for you guys that are playing much longer than me, I'm not sure. But yeah, anyways guys, that is the build. If you have another version of double companion build, let me know down in the comments. But for me, I really like this one. It deals a lot of weapon damage for me, and also it's fun to use Capacitor again. Oh, also I get to level up Artificer Hive. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.